Welcome to the 6th episode of Anycast. This is my podcast where we talk about any topic that's going on right now. Obviously, I primarily want to talk about sports, and that's where we're going to start with this podcast. Starting with NASCAR, which is really kicking into high gear since its comeback. We've had some crazy finishes, especially in Charlotte, where we had William Byron spinning out late in the Coke 600, which got impacted by rain. That resulted in Chase Elliott losing the lead. Brad Keselowski stayed out, ultimately got the win. Chase would get his redemption of sorts later on in the week, but before that, we got to the Xfinity Series, which was another exciting finish. Kyle Busch was able to pull that one out with a last lap pass and made the Appalachian State faithful happy because that's the first time they've had this big of a win since 2007 when they shocked Michigan in football. I mention that because that was the sponsor on Kyle Busch's car as he was paying tribute to the 2020 grads who didn't really get a proper graduation. I believe they had their ceremony take place at Charlotte Speedway. I'm not sure. I know Charlotte was hosting some of the graduation ceremonies, but I don't remember if Appalachian State was there or not. Definitely let me know in the comments if that was the case. But the big one was the Truck Series race. Kevin Harvick, if you remember, before the pandemic unfolded, put a bounty on whoever could beat Kyle Busch because Kyle Busch had dominated the Truck Series. Every time he went and participated in a Truck Series race, he won. So Kevin Harvick made this bounty happen. This was supposed to take place in Atlanta, and of course that was when everything came to a screeching halt as a result of the coronavirus. But with NASCAR coming back, Harvick put the bounty back on. Chase Elliott and a couple of others that were Cup regulars participated, and the rules were simple. Just finish ahead of Kyle Busch. Even if you don't win, if you beat Kyle Busch, you win the bounty. And Chase Elliott took it upon himself to not only beat Kyle Busch, but win the race. And by golly, did he do it, because that so evens out what happened at Darlington. Which, of course, left Kyle Busch frustrated, because he had some issues at the beginning that caused him to play catch-up. To his credit, he fought back to finish second, but of course, he owns the truck team that he was driving for. So, obviously, he's going to be frustrated about that. Not me. As a Chase Elliott and Hendrick fan, this was sweet, sweet redemption. And then on the Cup side, he completely got full redemption by winning the Charlotte race that night, as he was able to pull ahead and kept the lead for good. Never really was a threat after that. Kevin Harvick, who owned most of that race, or at least a good chunk of it, faded at the end because long-term run trumped short-term run, and thus Hamlin and Elliott were both able to move up and finish in the top two, but Elliott got his win. That made me a very happy camper. But that wasn't the only thing that was unfolding this week in sports. We also had big news from the NHL. They have announced their plans for if and when they do come back, which hopefully will be soon. We still don't know the details of when they're coming back or if they are coming back. But if they were to come back, we are doing a 24-team playoff. Basically, it's simple. 12 teams from each conference are going to qualify for the playoffs. Bettman made sure that would basically give those who were on the bubble at the time that season was halted, which, by the way, the regular season is over, so technically the defending Stanley Cup champion Blues won the division. Whoopee. No, I'm serious. Whoopee! But he made sure that those bubble teams basically had a chance, because that was basically going to be their playoffs, was that last few games of the season. So now teams 5 through 12, seeded 5 through 12, based on the point standings, are going to play each other in a best-of-5 series, with the winners moving on. Now the top 4 teams, seeding-wise, are going to be playing a round-robin to determine where they're going to be at as far as seeding goes. Obviously, the Blues are the number 1 seed because they were the highest point-producing team in the Western Conference, followed by the Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Dallas Stars. Are you sensing a pattern here? The Central Division was loaded up at the top. And of course, for you Chicagoans, that means the Blackhawks, yes, squeeze in as the final playoff spot. So congratulations, Blackhawks, you make the playoffs technically. That is if we get going. There's still obviously some tweaks that we need to deal with as far as if we're going to play, when we're going to play, where we're going to play. We still don't know where we're playing. They're trying to narrow it down to 2 hub cities, 1 for each conference. And they're also trying to make sure that the players' health is at first hand. They want to make sure that the players are okay with this and the health and the concern of the players and the coaching staffs and the equipment managers and all that stuff. Obviously, there's not going to be partisans in the stadiums. It's going to be empty, just like what you've seen with the NASCAR races and with the UFC fights that have gone on. And so that'll feel a little bit different, but at least we're making a step in the right direction there. As are we with the NBA. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do, but it sounds like they are making some progress, and it's looking like they're going to be coming back in the near future. MLB might be a little bit difficult because the players are still in arguments with the owners about how the pay should be split and taking all the pay cut. And I know we've gone through that in the past, so I'm just not going to go into any further detail, but you figured it would be a mess, and that's exactly what's unfolded. So hopefully they can resolve that and get their season going. If they do, I would assume that's also going to be with no fans as well. I think we want to make sure that we don't spread the coronavirus. And so the fact that we're getting these sports progressing is an encouraging thing. Another positive note that happened over the weekend was yesterday we had the SpaceX launch, marking the first time that the U.S. has launched a space shuttle in just about a decade. It's been about 9 years. And so they finally got to test out their new modeled rocket, the astronauts got like fancy new equipment, which I personally like, by the way. So, and they got to go out in style. From what I heard, they were driving into AC/DC Back in Black, which, by the way, that is an awesome song. AC/DC rocks. And it was a success. Now, this was supposed to take place on Wednesday. That got scrubbed because of rain. It was looking iffy at first yesterday, but it got better as we got closer to countdown, which is always a good thing. And obviously, it wound up going through. And it was a success. No issues from what I saw. And last I checked, they were reaching the International Space Station as we speak. So very, very, very encouraging sign for the space program. It's nice to see that. And it's encouraging that we're having all of this positivity because we need it in this time of uncertainty, especially given what has unfolded in the last week. I know you probably have heard of what happened with George Floyd, and I'm not even going to go into detail because you've heard it all over the news and on social media, and it's just sad to see what's unfolded, so I'm just not going to go there. And again, my condolences to the Floyd family. That's a terrible thing that happened, but I'm going to try to be positive about this because we need to. It's another reminder that we are a divided nation and we need to come together. You've seen in the past where we've had kindness and caring, and so I'm going to do some kindness right here. CNN usually does this thing called CNN Heroes, where they pay tribute to someone who's done something impactful, positively impactful, either in the community or in the nation or in their state. I want to do that, but for the reporters, not just with CNN, although that's the main focus. I want to give them props. I go to them with the morning news, and they always do a good job. But they're not the only reporting crew out there. But all the reporters, the camera crew, all their crew, everyone that's putting their lives on the line so we can see what's unfolding, which is unfortunate that we're seeing what's unfolding. And it's taking us back. And so they deserve a lot of credit for putting up with this. But again, I want to particularly focus on CNN because they've done a heck of a job. And as you probably have heard, one of their reporters, Omar, got wrongfully arrested, as did his crew. They eventually got released, which was the right thing to do. But they're showing that their dedication, and they were poised and calm throughout this, and that shows that they care about the people. And the anchors do too. They show their concern. They're just as concerned as we are. I mean, because this is something that we haven't seen in a while. And so I want to end on a positive. We need to show kindness, and we need to care for one another. Because while we are unique, and that's what makes us all unique, is we have our differences, and that's what makes us unique. In the end, we are all one, and we need to treat each other the way we would be treated ourselves. And we need to remember something about, I want to bring up the Pledge of Allegiance. It's not just something you say in elementary school. It's a reminder of what this country should be. One nation. We are still one nation. We're a wounded nation right now, but we've been through worse like this before, and we've been able to pull ourselves together and get out of it. And I believe we can still find a way to get out of this. But we need to be doing it in a peaceful way. We need to be kind to one another. We need to care about one another. We need to show respect for one another. And so I'd like to close the podcast today by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And you can participate too if you end up watching this on YouTube. But here we go. I'm going to close with this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Stay safe. Remember that we're still in a pandemic with the coronavirus too, so remember to keep your social distancing, wash your hands and all that. But above all, be safe, and I'll see you next time.